The application for TARP funding was, I think, 2 pages long. Most people filled it out in about 24 hours, and the purpose of it has certainly been a moving target.
Okay, thank you. Representative Widener, question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You might know this, or you might not, but wasn't a lot of that money funneled through AIG to the banks?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Widner, Representative Widner, yes, that is true, that once the banks received bailouts, then in the kind of the credit default swap world, they ended up paying out insurance benefits to those same banks.
Follow up. I'll be kind of interested in hearing from the bankers, because there's a lot of money that was getting funneled around, which disgusted a lot of citizens, even to different countries, because I think, wasn't France given like 19 billion out of that? 19 billion to Germany, 17 billion to France, and another 13 billion to the UK, and so the money's been flying out to a lot more than just banks. So there's a lot of information we need, and I don't know if we can, at the state, if we're going to be able to handle this ourselves, but...
Mr. Chair, Representative Widner, I think your point is very well taken. I think what this bill does is focus on the state chartered banks, and part of the reason is because those big, huge issues, I think, are going to be taking up more and more of the federal government's time in trying to disentangle. And if you look at the amount of dollars that are coming to the state of Oregon directly from the TARP program, it's about $260 million, compared to about $180 billion dollars that are going to the capital purchase program overall, which, if you do the math, I think is about 1/10 of 1%. And that's part of the reason why I think it's reasonable for us to simply be in a forum where we can ask questions in the light of day, because I just can't see the federal government and all of its regulatory challenges focusing too much attention on this $260 million when there's, you know, another billions and billions up there for regulation.
Representative Tomei, question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. So do we know which 3 banks are likely to get the TARP funds?
Yes, there are 3 banks that are receiving them right now: Umpqua Bank, Premier West, and Capital Pacific.
Right. Follow-up?
Follow-up.
So if we were to set up this group and the banks would report to this group, this would just be public information. We would have no right to refuse the money or refuse it or question them receiving it or anything. It's just transparency. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Representative Tomei, and that's why I was a little surprised that they decided to oppose or not accept the compromise, because the way I picture it is they would just come down, not even really have to prepare anything in written testimony, and just report on some of the reports that they've been making to the Treasury.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you, one more time, tell me the compromise that was offered and rejected?
That we strip out the entire bill, basically, and just put into the bill a requirement that recipients of TARP funding come before this committee 3 times during the interim and 1 time into the Senate Consumer Protection Committee.
Okay. Question? Representative Krieger.
Why would you want it 3 times here and once over there?
Figured it was a good starting point for the negotiation, frankly.
Okay.
And,
all right.
And
good answer.
And Senator Bonamici, Mr. Chair, Representative Krieger, Senator Bonamici might have had some qualms if I tried to force too many hearings down her throat without clearing it with her. I figure I'd deal with that on the Senate.
Representative Shields, did you clear the 3 meetings with me?